Good evening, everybody. What's up, everybody? I don't know if anybody's on Discord live at the moment. You swung AMC? Alright, we're gonna go over AMC. Mary. My gosh. Danger. Nervous. That's fancy. I feel you. I'm in profits, but I think it's going to be okay. I think even if it does pull back, nobody's going to take that gamble in the morning. So like in pre-market, I can't imagine it'll see too much of a pullback. But those of you in the Discord, I am on YouTube, just in case you guys want to hop on there. Doesn't matter, I guess, but. Robert, nice job, man. I'm glad you had a good day today, man. What's up, Daniel? Eddie, how's it going, man? How do I feel about space tomorrow? I feel like it'll be bullish. We'll take a look at it. And what's the move for SPY tonight? So we're going to go over all of those things. When we gonna connect? When you trying to connect, man? Alright, let's go ahead and let's get to it. Alright, good evening, everybody. Those of you just joining us. Alright. So we're going to go ahead and start off just with a couple of recaps here on today's plays. Obviously, you guys know that I took Microsoft today, trying to take that 280 level. And this trade for day trade was pretty messy, pretty choppy. And it always seems like there's one ticker, but Microsoft was a trade that I took based on the break and downtrend. So I know a lot of people were able to take profit on Microsoft here. Had a little reversal pattern that it ended up pulling back out of, and then I believe it did end up hitting that 281. So that play did end up green. AMC was probably one of the plays of the day as far as options were concerned. Some of you guys closing out options well over 200 and I think 300%. So, but we're gonna go over AMC. We're gonna go over a couple of different trades going into tomorrow. I know some of you guys are in swing trades, so you're going to want to know where you can potentially take profit and where you could potentially hop in or out of. So those of you in the Discord, there you go. Sorry, I forgot about my screen. Mary, are you on YouTube right now? I see that you're double muted on Discord. I just want to make sure so you don't miss anything. Oh, Eddie, nice job. So you actually swung that put on Microsoft from yesterday. So not too shabby. So right at the bell, you immediately had a downtick. So you were able to close that out green. Talk about the chop, and that's one of the reasons why I was watching Microsoft today. Okay, so let's go ahead and also, before I move forward, NEGG was one of those big pops that we had at the bell. This one ended up kind of chopping around here. I think it's worth watching going into tomorrow, but this one was a $30 call, and then this one shot up to around, I think, hit 31 on the dot. Where it ended up rejecting, that was the previous day's highs, our pre-market high, and so obviously that's where we got that rejection. But neg is still bottomed out here, and could potentially still see a run going into tomorrow, so it's still on my watch list. Alrighty, let's go ahead and let's get to the news. We're going to get through this relatively quickly, that way we can get to charting and preparing for tomorrow. So the heat map, as you guys probably saw, those of you who do watch the heat maps, there was a lot of green today, a big relief, but that usually comes after a couple of days of red. I'm drinking coffee at 8:46 at night. What have I become? Anyway, so we have Apple up 2.6%, Microsoft up 0.83%, Google up 1.31%, Disney up 2.20%. That looks all good and well. Everything looks peachy keen when you look at it from that perspective. But you also have to remember that Apple, and this is one of the main things that I want to go over today, is how critical this is. So not only did we have a green day on Apple, but we had a massive gap get filled on Apple. So that was a big daily gap caused by that big gap down from the ETFs, Delta virus variant scares. So that being said, Apple is looking rough. Still, I would venture to guess in that bearish trend. And if we go down here to the 4-hour time frame, what is going to need to happen tomorrow, and we were stopped out right at that 147.15 mark. Excuse me. But we got excuse me. Ouch. So what I get for talking so much. God damn it. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I'm just going to keep this really simple on Apple and anything that moves with Apple. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, and closing out on SPY, we need to evaluate whether or not... Come on, fingers, do what I tell you to. Obviously, you can see here, same setup on Apple as in SPY, as per usual. So small gap here on the hourly gets filled today. And then not only that, but the gap gets settled on. So we actually end up settling with a bull flag here above that gap. So rather than filling the gap and holding it, we fill the gap, close above it, and then hold that. That being said, I will be watching, and if SPY can break today's high, then I think that we will probably run up into earnings for the anticipation for earnings and the volatility that comes with it. But that being said, I do see, and I mean, I've kind of contemplated whether or not this would end up playing out, but it could be that SPY ends up either running into this wall here, which does kind of coincide with that level that we broke originally, and that level is the 435.51. So that is where we would need to break in order to see a break in uptrend, unless, and I haven't quite decided whether I want to run it off of that wick dynamically, but we can still go with these horizontal rays right here, or these linear supports and resistances. So for me, it's quite simple. On SPY, 432.65 will likely lead us into that 430.34. The whole number mark, if that ends up getting broken between now and Friday, I imagine that we'll be running up into earnings going into next week. That being said, we did have pretty good volume today as well on this rebound. We did gap up, gap got filled, and then the gap got pushed. And that's what we kind of talked about in pre-market this morning, is about how that gap could get filled. And you guys saw on the Dow, on IWM, all of those things that we talked about ended up playing out. And Apple, Microsoft, the only one that didn't fill its gap was Disney, which I found really unusual. And just is kind of attractive in a way where I want to see if it does end up filling its gap, because it could be a really quick scalp play if it does end up getting that done. So let's see here. So going back to the news. So snapping back, of course, we see one of the bigger sectors that ended up lifting up was the industrial sector. XLI boosted up by 2.8% to fill yesterday's gap. Financials gained by 2.48% to fill its gap. Bitcoin broke down 3.15%, trading below 30K for the first time since late June. And of course, earnings season is right around the corner. I'm just kind of reading off those headlines. And those of you who caught Neuro, now I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure I announced that on YouTube Live this morning. Can I go over CVS vaccine stocks? Yes, I can. Nice play on Amazon. I'll check that out. Game. Yeah, here. Let me. Well, there it is. It fell. Let me write these down so that way. Rolling back into Baba, Sony, DK, and GZ. I'm starting to... By the way, who called Z 2 days ago? Somebody asked me about Z, and I ended up kind of watching that one for him. It actually ended up on my playlist as well. Filled the gap really nicely. Just want to make sure I get these down. So we got SPY, we got Space, Amazon, Game, CVS, AI. Cool. I'd be down to take a trade on CVS too for that run up if it did. NIO. Okay. All right. We'll get back to the news. All of the closing prints: S&P up 1.52% today. Nasdaq up 1.57% today. Russell up 2.99%, and the Dow up 1.62%. Thanks, Sebus. I appreciate that, man. So this morning, Neurometrics. I signaled this one this morning on live. What's up, Jay Hizzy? What's up, my guy? So Neuro absolutely ripped. 206 up 206% today. The Massachusetts-based medical company announced the FDA approval for its Quell transcutaneous nerve simulator used to treat fibromyalgia in adults. That's big news. Anything regarding that type of price move or that type of news, chemotherapy, breast cancer, any type of well-known ailment, you'll see a lot of movement from that stock, and that's exactly what happened with Neuro today. Absolutely sending that one, and I actually again signaled that one in pre-market, so I was pretty happy with that trade. I actually felt a little bit of FOMO because I did get such a good fill this morning that I TP'd a little early. So, but it is what it is. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get over the news, guys, because there's really nothing crazy to go over. Chipotle has, I'm sure I don't need to go over, but Chipotle Mexican Grill topped earnings and revenue estimates with ease. Digital sales made up for 48.5% of the company's quarterly sales. That's ridiculous, and I'm acting surprised, but I order Chipotle all the time. I always put seasoning on it, though, because they kind of goof that up. But anyway, they climbed 4.2% after hours. Pretty impressive there. Chipotle is a absolute beast. I have a lot of people ask me how the hell they can trade at that high. And I'm like, man, it's bigger than just the food. So they're pretty dominant in their sector. But you can see here in after hours making a pretty significant push here. And it looks like climbing above or into all-time highs for Chipotle. So pretty interesting stuff there. Netflix surpassed analyst quarterly projections for new subscribers, but fell short of Q3 2021 forecast. EPS was 2. I posted this on Twitter. Those of you who don't follow me on my Twitter, is Potter Stocks, by the way. Make sure you guys follow me. But those of you on YouTube, I'm pretty sure, and everybody on Discord does. But so Philip Morris, their stock dropped 3.2% on Tuesday after issuing a 2021 profit forecast that fell short of analyst estimates as well. So recent spike in number of COVID-19 cases has the crypto market shook. After yesterday's global market sell-off, BTC, plunged below 30K. The largest cryptocurrency is down 5% from last week, and Bitcoin's price has fallen over half from its April high of 65K. I have my own personal opinions on Bitcoin. I don't think it was ever Elon. I don't think, and honestly, guys, this one's going right down to 25. I don't want to be so bold and say I know the exact mark, but 25,250. 25,250, that's my mark. But first of all, Elon had nothing to do with that dump. This was building from months, and I believe that Elon Musk got in somewhere around here, or it might have been down in here. So he really had little to do with that. He took profit. It was pretty much just a couple swing trades. But Bitcoin does affect and does reflect the overall markets. So what Bitcoin does sometimes the markets will do as well, and then vice versa. Obviously, the market's leading Bitcoin. But right now, Bitcoin is moving down towards that support. I drew this out and posted this on TikTok and Twitter a couple months ago, and it is completely adhered to this setup here. So I'm really curious to see how we move, and we're currently at that big support on Bitcoin. So I'm not in it, so I'm not really worried. I'm just waiting for the bounce. Waiting for the dip. Okay. All right, so that is about it as far as news that I want to go over. I did see, what is it? No, I'm just going to skip that. It was a IPO that's pushing out soon. But I'm going to go ahead and go over my watch list for tomorrow. So Disney, one of the few ones that did not finish filling its gap. I want to go ahead and take that one to the upside with SPY's permission, of course. And before I'm moving a little bit too fast here, guys. If you didn't see this last time, I'm going to point this out to you guys so that way you guys don't become hyper bears or hyper bulls, but you're aware of where we're at within the market. So right here, before I move into Disney, because we need to know what SPY is going to be doing in order to get an idea of what Disney can do. So the reason why I am dropping all of these arrows onto this chart is because this is reminiscent of how SPY moves when it hits that 50-day EMA on the daily. And I actually, funny enough, saw an article written about the 50-day EMA. I thought it was really funny. But nonetheless, you can see that every time that SPY hits that 50, it makes a pretty bold recovery. Now, what does that mean for SPY? That means that SPY is going to need to break and hold above 434 in order to continue trending bullishly. That being said, with that bounce off of the 50-day EMA, it does look like we're following that cyclical pattern of respecting that 50 EMA. And you can see how, this actually goes back a little bit further, but how many times we have held that 50-day EMA, and it has gone back to Trump tweets, to everything you can possibly think of since going back to January. So January until now, we have held that 50 EMA on SPY, and so in order to continue bearish or bullishly, which I will give you my honest opinion, I do think this is a bullish setup here. You have a doji here off the 50, not even really a very bearish candle, and then you also just have a really nice engulfment here. So you're looking to push 434 tomorrow on SPY in order to see movement in those stocks that we're watching. And if you guys didn't notice, I looked this up after hours, and I also checked it out while we were trading. A lot of the stocks that we saw run were stocks that have earnings next week. Not this week, but next week. Snow, a couple of other ones. And they were running up, whereas some of the stocks that have earnings this week, I feel like it's a little bit too soon, so you're seeing kind of choppier price action. Netflix, of course, bounced today. But anyway, so that's just want to give you guys a brief outlook on SPY. You guys already have kind of my analysis here. Yes, there is absolutely, I know somebody asked in the YouTube, is there a way that SPY could drop? Absolutely. There's always a chance, and we'll go look at CVS here, guys, in just a second, but there's always a chance that the market can reject. And this level here, the 432.75 and 434 level are big levels for SPY. That being said, you see a little bit of weakness here on the MACD. The RSI kind of cruising up into that rejection point. So in order to see, and this is why we have a plan for both, right? We don't just come into the market and we say, all right, it's going up. That's how I'm basing my entire day tomorrow, is off of what I think is going to happen. No, it's really good to say, okay, I know that there's a couple different levels that SPY is going to need to hold. As you can tell, that this level that we gap down from, that's the 431 level. That's currently the level that we're holding on SPY. Hold on one second. Okay. Where did my chart go? But anyway, so we're holding that 431 level, and in order to see continuation, we're going to need to break above the 432.50 level with the immediate target of 434, 435, 33.75 is that little macro there. But other than that, that's what I would be watching for. Anywhere below that, right? So that would mean basically a refusal to hold above the hourly 200-day EMA here. That would cause and more than likely be a rejection down to the 429.85. Anywhere below that, and we resume that bearish trend. Now, also, this a little bit soon here, but it does look like if I chart off these lows, this is the likelihood of this being a support is high. Now, I also, and it's kind of, in a way, intuitive, right? So there's sometimes, so let's look at it this way. You have this support that SPY has been holding, right? So I could absolutely chart it off of this. A lot of times I'm looking for the levels of most respect. So here I see there's a wick bounce off of that, and the body is what recovers back up onto that support. And that's what I'm mostly concerned about. So if you ever have a bunch of messy wicks, you want to look for the most respected trend. And for me, not only that, we have the 20-day EMA here, and you'll see that it's kind of moving and is going to go and just move right into that very same line. And that usually for me is extra confirmation. Secondly, we have this EMA crossover here that does look like it is bound to happen. So my target for tomorrow is 434.35. At the most, anywhere above that, and that's a breakout day, and we'll see what we get after that. I'm not going to try and time that, and that would most likely be in anticipation for earnings. Otherwise, the Delta variant news will probably reign dominant. But anyway, so enough on SPY. You guys kind of got an idea on that one. So I gave you guys a brief breakdown. Same thing with the Qs here in pre-market. I told you guys that I wasn't really digging the setup here, that we had already gone and rejected that top 356 or so 356 or 357 mark. We rejected that, and that's right where, if I zoom in, hopefully you guys, you can see that. So you can see the wick right there, rejection and pre-market, and then right at the open, it absolutely dumps. So I was right not to take calls. Then on the next candle open, after we get a really, really strong recovery, this thing absolutely breaks this downtrend, which gives me the idea that we could potentially see positive movement from the Qs tomorrow as well. Again, same thing with SPY. Losing a little bit of heat here. Gonna need to see more volume, as well as nothing damning as far as a catalyst to the downside. So we're gonna need to have Fauci and COVID variant talk at a minimum. Otherwise, we can expect some ugliness or chop from the market. And I think that would be likely anticipation, and more than likely would affect travel stocks the most, or anything that has to do with anything about people traveling, leaving their home whatsoever. So Mary says she's what's up, Mobile Cop? Sorry, I just looked here. That was like 10 minutes ago. Okay, so Kenneth and Mary swung. Wow. You guys are apes. You guys are the real apes. Okay, so Dow, same thing this morning, guys. We talked about the massive gap on the Dow and why I didn't really like the giant wick above us. But that was likely my price target for the day, is where that wick actually ended. And we had a big old gap to fill, and that gap got filled. And not only did the gap get filled, we'll go pull this support right here. So from where that gap, and this is a gap going back last week, July 9th, you have this gap here from 344.06 or 05, excuse me, to 345.65. And that's where we pretty much got slapped at for the industrials today. In order to see continuation, this one's going to need to clear the HMA. You can see the HMA wrapping around here, showing a little bit of almost like it's preparing to wick it to the downside. So it's going to need to push there. You got the whole ribbon indicator moving in favor of the Dow, seeing somewhat of a recovery. And I think that that recovery level, guys, tomorrow is 348.15. And you can see that if it did end up making that setup, it would have to break that in order to avoid making a bearish setup pattern as well. So, all right, guys, I'm trying to kind of speed through this. That is about it. I think I have IWM here. Same thing, IWM, guys. My target, funny enough, just like SPY. And don't be surprised if you see a pullback on IWM or a gap down, and this goes for SPY too. But don't be surprised if you see a small pullback and then a takeoff from there. You'll notice that is and would be a perfect inverse head and shoulders. What does that mean? For those of you guys who don't know about the patterns and all that good stuff, you can flip your chart around and it makes it a little bit easier, but you can see the potential for a head and shoulders pattern, which would be a reversal. In this case, it would be a reversal in our favor, so to the upside. And that's what we're looking for past that 200-day EMA, which is perfectly lined up with that neckline at 220.89. And IWM will likely resume and try and go for to retest a previous support turn resistance. So, okay, so we're gonna go over as well. I just remembered, kind of forgot about the Zoom trade. So obviously can't win them all. That is a trade that I ended up going red on. If you guys closed at the bell, I do believe you were able to close green. Not anything crazy, but disappointing price action nonetheless, only to recover all the way back up to the 359.27, right underneath 260 or 360 level again. And so for Zoom, guys, I think that technically this all was running off of COVID variant news, and then Fauci came in the morning and literally said, and I think I was watching it, and he said that as long as you have booster shots and you have X, Y, and Z, you should be fine. And with that being said, Zoom felt the effects. So honestly, I wasn't too upset about the trade. It ended up being one of those ones where we're really excited for the bell to open. And it did open. I mean, like I said, you should have opened green. If you were in Zoom, you would have opened green. I held for the potential bounce at 355.81, where, yes, in retrospect, I could have taken profit, but I didn't take that much of a loss, so I'm not mad either way. Okay. Sam, yes, I can go over Facebook, NEG, Invax, and Tesla. AMC, guys. So if you guys go into, or if you recap this morning's YouTube live, you'll notice that live trading at 9:33, somebody had told me they saw a little bit of movement on AMC. This is exactly what I was looking for, and it was really, really, really simple. Pre-market highs right there. And as soon as we ended up pushing that pre-market high, I figured we would retest that pre-market high, set that next level here, and AMC ended up running straight into that $40 level. This was over 100% play. A lot of you guys pulling 360, but I have a lot of you guys asking me, what about tomorrow? Well, if we take a look at AMC on the hourly time frame, excuse me, AMC has broken downtrend, and I think I've seen a couple people say that in the chat. Right now, the goal is 45, and I have $45 calls on AMC that we grabbed before that next pop on AMC. But the 45.15, if we break that level, I do believe we'll see continuation to the upside. But we did break or hit and clear the level that AMC has originally bounced off of multiple times, that $40 or $41.25 range there. So I do think that things look good as far as AMC is concerned, looking at the potential for the EMA crossover here. So if you're in weeklies and this gaps up, I would highly recommend taking profit on those immediately, because you will pull back. You will go and try and fill that gap. And once that gap gets filled, we can evaluate whether or not we want to take it for a bounce. But otherwise, yeah, no go. I would just leave it at that. Anywhere, and like I said, we're gonna have to take a look at this in pre-market. Don't be nervous, guys. If you're well within profit, I understand you don't want to lose any money. But more trades will make themselves available. So I'm watching AMC for continuation past 43.43 or 43.45 and clearing the 43 or 44.50 level. Hopefully going for that $44 mark or $45 mark. Sorry, all miscombobulated here. Okay. All right. So last one that we're gonna go over is Disney. So if you guys played Disney with us, the reason why I took Disney is it was holding the 172 support in pre-market, rejected pre-market lows, and ended up going and clearing pre-market highs. I did, and I think I told a few of you guys, this is where we originally took this trade. So when it started breaking pre-market highs, I took one contract of Disney. It ended up pulling back. I went red. So I ended up waiting for the bounce at the 200-day EMA. I grabbed another contract, averaged down. Again, another rejection of high of day, but I saw that there was no bearish momentum to the downside, and it was holding that level really well, and volume, in retrospect, looked pretty good on that lower time frame. So I averaged down again. And then finally, when it broke high of day, it ended up retesting, and I had enough position size to kind of work it a little bit. And then right when it broke into its gap, barely breaking into its gap at 177.50, that's where it ended up rejecting. And after hours, I think that Netflix, well, Georgie actually said this, and it makes a whole lot of sense, but Netflix is earnings more than likely affected Disney's earnings. So whether or not they were positive or negative could be reflective of whether or not Disney streaming services are seeing similar love. But Disney has held up in after hours, so I think it's actually worth watching going in here tomorrow. 177.55, and the reason why I'm taking this trade or eyeballing this trade is because of the very large gap that starts, well, it starts here because we're in it. So basically the gap all the way to 179.15, 178 break, and I think that I'll add and go heavy for a scalp halfway, and then we'll evaluate whether or not Disney can bounce and actually sustain these levels. But once that gap gets filled, guys, that's where things get a little bit messy, and we're probably going to want to sit on cash unless we know for sure that the momentum is moving up to the upside. What? All right, so let's see here. Disney. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead. We already covered SPY. We're going to go over space. So I believe we talked about this one again this morning. This one holding an inside range. Go here to the hourly. So this morning, space pulling back to that 29.76 level. And again, guys, I've said this multiple times. Space has a relatively decent gap to fill, starting all the way at $23.50 and ending around $21. All that to be said, I'm not quite sure if space is going to hold these levels right now, especially with after everything. It's going to take a little bit of breathing, so it may go still, and it may take its time, but everything still is looking relatively bearish, and at 33 is where bears have made their stand here on this lower time frame. So anywhere above that, you could see a small push back up to 36 into the 37.50 range. But otherwise, I would expect some type of rejection there. I know that we saw Blue Origin take off today, but that really didn't seem to have much of an effect on space. You see that it rebounded really well off of 29.75, but is going to need to break, hold, and maintain 32.50, and then 32.20 or 33.25 in order to see continuation. So space right now, I would remain neutral on if I was you at this level until it goes and tries to clear that 29.50 level, where it will more than likely go and break and head towards that gap. And then anywhere above this daily 20-day EMA, which is right here at 33.25, then it could make a run to $36, as I said before. So, and as you can see, hourly 200-day EMA and whole ribbon indicator moving averages setting right there at 36. Okay, so that's space. We got Amazon. Always Amazon messing up its patterns, but okay, let's do this. All right, cool stuff. Okay, so we have a multitude of different levels here, and let's see. All right, so this is what appears to be a bit of a reversal pattern on Amazon, and I think that we saw, a correction here, right? So it went and retested the 3,500 level, and then ended up popping back up, filling its gap, bouncing off of that support, and I have not moved anything. This is actually why I was pinning Amazon as bearish if it didn't get a correction. And of course, corrections will happen. The market will mess a pattern up, blow a pattern up, and a lot of times it will just break right back into that pattern and continue about its day. And that's exactly what we saw here on Amazon. I think this one is pretty clear. Anywhere above 30, and I don't want to call it 3,600 because obviously that's going to be a big psychological resistance, but right now the 200-day EMA is where you're finding a lot of fight at 35.90. But of course that little move up into the 3600s, 36.2350 is where I see, or 36.2575, excuse me, is where I see that first resistance. And then, of course, 36.51. But it does appear that you have broken downtrend on Amazon. So I like that. I like the volume. It looks decent. Jeff Bezos is not dead. That's great. And I'm sure that this is only, not that he needs any type of publicity, because I don't even think Amazon has ads. I don't think they need them. Pretty much everyone pays for them. But before we get too crazy, this was, I'm actually, as I'm charting here, I'm seeing that there is the potential that if it doesn't break that 36th level, it will reverse. And you can see the setup for it to do so. So pretty clear here. Again, 3,600 basically, and you're cleared for 36.25. And then anywhere, you could end up seeing a rejection here where you would likely trend back down and go for a break of 35.25 and 3,500 as well. Is that an inverse cup and handle on Amazon? I don't know. Let's see. Oh, yes. So that's funny you should say that. I was just teaching somebody about inverse cup and handles. Yeah, so let's go ahead and let's invert that chart. I'm bummed that I kind of skipped over this. So check it out. This looks like your standard cup and handle on the daily or on the hourly time frame here. So I wouldn't be so surprised if Amazon heads into the 34.45 level looking at this setup. So I would watch it at 35, looks like 35.50. And let's go ahead and reverse that. Yeah, so 35.50, and more than likely, and as you can see here, Amazon will make its way right around here. So don't be surprised, guys, if we end up, today was like a dead count bounce and we end up just spilling right back over tomorrow. But of course, earnings season, I think, is what's holding the market up right now. Look at that diamond pattern here. If you guys want to hop on YouTube live, that's where I'm at right now. I'll take your request. Okay. Yeah, so for Amazon, I think that 35, 58, 75, break that, and then you'll likely see Amazon take that trend to the downside rather than reverse. You do have a falling wedge type pattern here, but it's of course coming off of these highs. So in order to see a reversal, it's gonna need to see this pattern break and clear above 3,600. So PFV, we'll check that out in a minute. Okay, so GameStop, same deal with Amazon here, not pattern-wise, but at least recovery-wise. So a little bit different than Amazon, kind of exactly what we we're just talking about, where we see an obvious correction, if you want to call it that, because I don't think they're purposely trying to correct it. But GameStop, breaking this support and bouncing off of 152, and then back up into this resistance. And if you'll notice, right, GameStop, if we're abiding by the previous resistance that we had, this 200-day EMA at 196.30 is extremely pivotal. If we break that mark there, and I wouldn't even be surprised. Yeah, pivot point is a little bit higher than us, but the pivot point from yesterday is at pretty much today's high, which we didn't quite reject, but we didn't break through either. So in my opinion, for GameStop, I would say that anywhere above 200, and we should see some solid continuation. Otherwise, that 200-day moving average at 198.50 is hanging up there pretty tightly. So, okay, so let's go ahead, and we got CVS. We're going to go over CVS really quickly. CVS here on the 4-hour, heavy consolidation, trading in this channel really cleanly, and I think that's why you guys have been pointing out CVS to me, is it does have a super clean chart. You can even go out here to the weekly and see what we're working with here. So on the weekly, we have a really, really beautiful flag. The weekly bounce off of that 200-day or 20-day EMA rather, and as well as the climb back above that HMA that's climbing up around here. I think it's worth taking a look at the whole sweet ribbon indicator. So unfortunately, I don't like when that happens. So let's go back and let's look at previous times where this whole ribbon indicator has failed us. So very seldomly do we see things like this, right, where CVS is flagging like it is now, and the whole ribbon indicator passes it like it is now, and then CVS ends up climbing and breaking to the outside. This takes almost a whole week to happen, but then immediately you just a free fall. And I would imagine that this is on earnings. I'm not wrong. So on earnings, that's usually where you're seeing CVS get whacked at. But nonetheless, I think that and lower time frames look better. Of course, the weekly could be a bit more damning as it has a larger impact, and it could be all the way to 85.57 where we see a rejection. But for now, it does look like you're trying to break this lower time frame downtrend at $83. A break of $83 on CVS, I think the first target is 85.36. And again, that would confirm a breaking downtrend, but you would need to see some hella volume. Earnings is on August 4th. Dividends is on July 22nd. So, motherfucker, man, come on. My stupid battery. Okay, so let's go. C3 AI. Death. All right, so because this thing has just been totally destroyed, we're going to lay off of looking at the daily too much and just stick to this lower time frame. So it looks like C3 is trying to make a little bit of a comeback here. Pretty straightforward. I think that your first level of support or now turned resistance where this 20-day or 50-day EMA is going to catch up with is that $55 mark. With that $55 mark broken, I think a run back up into the $60 range for C3 or maybe even this larger daily time frame would likely spell a potential reversal. You could even say, or not even reversal, but a breakout. You could even say, looking at how clean this support is, that this is the proper channel that we're trading in. So we're going to look for, and let me fix this a little bit, so that way it's not looking so ugly. So yeah, it may end up being where we run back up and hit 58.75, where that 200-day moving average will likely be. So watch for some sketchy price action here, but a move up past 55.50 into that $60 range. But it looks. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't look that great, but it does have a reversal pattern. Oh my god, I can't help it. I'm sorry. I had to yawn. I'm getting tired. I just drank coffee too. All right, so we got NIO coming up here as well. All right, so nice break in downtrend here on NIO. So as you can see on NIO, and we thought about, I think I, in retrospect, may have had my resistances and supports a little bit off, or even if I did, it just had a technical break in downtrend. But this one hit my mark for the downside. And then it has bounced and made quite the recovery. And that being said, I think anywhere on NIO above 45 and we'll break back into a short-term bull trend. But at the moment, I've just seen, and especially if you look at the dark pool, not a lot of, I mean, there's buyers there and a lot of bag holders, but there's not a whole lot of inflow like I would like to see, and the tape has been relatively slow as well on NIO and a lot of those other EVs. That being said, like I said, above 45 or 44.75, and we could see a relief bounce up into The 47.85 level. The two levels that you have are actually 47.30 and then 48.50 are two levels that I have marked out here for NIO. The most probable one being the 47.50 and $47 mark. So, all right. So we got NIO down. My guy says SPRT. Yes. And I will have it updated. Support.com. Yeah, man, I just pump and dump. Unfortunately, I don't have anything other than that to tell you as far as charting wise. I could go to like the 5 or something, but this thing just was pumped and dumped and completely reversed. So. Okay, Mary. Yeah, make sure you take profit. I'm in yellow, but I'm swinging it for tomorrow. Announcing plans to return to full, so I could see a strong bounce. Yeah, but I think the Delta variant needs to cool off before you start taking travel stocks. Now, of course, Carnival had a really big move up, but all Boeing, everything had a reasonably big move up, and the reason being is because they've been parabolically day after day moving down. So I think that's to be expected in some regards. All the major indexes are within 2% of their record highs from last week. Seems like the spread of the Delta variant, just in recap, the spread of the Delta variant coronavirus still remains at risk that could slow down the economic recovery in the coming months. Gotta keep this in mind. Some analysts believe markets may be due for a short-term correction as equities have gone months without a pullback of at least 5%. Crypto market fell on Tuesday with Bitcoin trading below 30K, a key level support. And that's about it. Here's a video. There you go. Just casually floating around in space. So CCL definitely in need of a relief bounce. I think you saw that happen on Boeing today too. So maybe watch for a recovery up to the $24 level on CCL as it has bottomed out here a little bit. Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla. Okay, I believe I talked to somebody about this morning, about the potential break and downtrend and the potential for a double bottom. Well, here you go. So we do have a break and downtrend. If you go down here to the 15-minute time frame, Tesla had that break and downtrend retest, and then as you can see here in pre-market, we end up falling immediately, and that was with SPY and the rest of everything else, and to be expected as well. I actually didn't expect that much of a pullback, but it did pull back to that 42.50 level, and then using pre-market highs 654. I know big stepper signaled Tesla to the upside. We ended up breaking and holding that 662 level. So looking at the flow and looking at the chart on Tesla, let's go back over here. It does appear, let me go back over here. There we go. So it does appear to me anyway that Tesla has, and let's go draw this dynamic support. Tesla has recovered off of what potentially looked like, and that's what this is right here. So Tesla more than likely is going to go back and retest 695. or even 700. Looking at the way that it's held that trend line, and then from there we could end up dumping and pulling back. But I expect a retest of this very sim level of 695 with market cooperation. You can see here ending the day relatively strong, trying to clear that previous high of day at 662.15. So all right, hold on one second. We're gonna look at Wish, Facebook, Invax. I got Tesla. I got NIO. So let's look at Facebook. I know that they saw some type of decent news. Okay, so Facebook looking like hot dog water out here. This one as well, respecting that 50-day EMA, and you have to ignore my clown lines here. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and shut it down here in just a second. Guys, I'm trying to get back to posting content on TradingView and posting it on YouTube. So if you guys don't follow me on TradingView, make sure you guys follow me there. I'm going to be posting more video updates, more detailed, in-depth videos on just one ticker and what I'll be watching. And these are usually for longer term positions. So, all right, so on Facebook, we're hitting what looks to be a trend line, a daily trend line. So could be make for a decent play. 345 is going to be rather pivotal. I would say that anywhere above 345 on Facebook, and we could see a nice push to the upside. Going here to the 4-hour time frame, we can also go and mark off our highs, run down to our lows, and see that we have a pretty beautiful break and downtrend with, like I said, just that 20-day move or 50-day EMA here on the 4-hour lining up with that 345, which just gives me extra layer of verification that that's where we're going to need to break in order to see continuation to the upside. So right now you're stuck pretty much in between 340, 350 and 345 for that breakout range. Upon a reversal, of course, 336.85 would be where you would be watching for a potential break, and that break would likely take you to 328.65. Okay, Invax. Yes, I can chart Sony. Sony is one of my favorite tickers. Interesting. Okay, so I don't play vaccine stocks that much as far as like long term or anything like that. Sorry, I was just listening. Sorry. 230.56 looks like a brick wall. And so looking at the daily chart here, it looks like you ran up, nice strong move, and then immediately rejecting. So this is a strong level for Invax. Expect to trade in this range anywhere below 190.62, and Invax might be trending back down to the downside, unfortunately. Otherwise, a wick fill day tomorrow would be needed. This is not a awesome looking pullback here at all. So, all right, let's go. Plug. Sorry, Eddie, I forgot. My brain's starting to smelt right now, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I love you guys, though. You guys are awesome. Thanks for always hopping on YouTube, supporting the channel. It's mucho appreciated. Okay, so Plug looks like I've got some type of conspiracy theory like I've got plug lined up for a murder. There's lines everywhere. But so 2 channels. Let's go here to the daily. Think of them like a linear deviation on plug. So plug is holding this downtrend here, holding this support and this resistance. It looks like it's trying to go retest 30. I have 28 as that level for plug power. Normally, when I'm looking for a break and downtrend, this is what I want to see for a potential bottom. You can see that this was a pretty pivotal level for plug power in the past. Still a lot of bag holders. If you look at the dark pool chart, it just speaks bag holding. So there's a multitude of gaps above us. I think plug power will have its time. That time will come above $30. Above $30, we can start resuming our uptrend. And right now, it does appear that this lower channel has been broken. So my next target would be that 200-day EMA around 30.35. So, yeah, plug power. I would say the first reasonable target tomorrow is 30.35, and you're at 26.97 or 26.95. So upon that push, yeah, 28.30 is a reasonable resistance that you could trim at. But yeah, that's what I think. Awesome. I'm in plug for a little profit in swing for tomorrow. Nice. All right, let's go check out Sony. I probably look super tired, don't I? My eyes are bleeding. Could have done better at getting a nap. So this is, imagine playing gap fills on this thing. So Sony is still in trend, my guy. Looks like it could not hold that support there. Let's go pull this up. Okay, so it does appear that Sony has rejected that top resistance line. Not only that, it has gapped down, made a little tiny doji, so there's still the potential that it bounces back up here and goes for that break of resistance. But otherwise, I think this one is more than likely going to go and retest somewhere around 88.26 if it stays in this trend that we have established here. So to the upside, 107.14. And that's in the near future, of course. But Sony may just need more time to consolidate here and make this little 4 hour, or excuse me, not 4 hour. That is a weekly time frame, but daily flag here. So just watch for a potential pullback to 95, and then below 95, I would be watching the 88, 85 level as well. So okay. Can I please look at Wish, Shop, and BA? So Wish, woo! Damn. So if Wish can bottom out and hit and break $11, the resumption of its chance to go back up continues. So we did have the potential setup for an inverse head and shoulders. That isn't quite off the table here. I should stop drinking this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Not quite off the table here on Wish. I would say that a retest of even just its whole ribbon indicator, that ribbon is right now at 12.15, is likely. Let's go down here to the hourly time frame as well. So I already spot this without even drawing the trend line, but that is a descending megaphone pattern here. Check that out. So it does appear that it's trying to break up bullishly out of that. It's going to need to hold this little trend line here. Okay, so 1050 first level on wish. Second level is the 208 EMA, 1062. That's a zone, small zone there. Next one, 1120. Would be a reasonable target there as well. But it needs to break and hold this level and break that 1060 level in order to see continuation to the upside. So, yeah. Wish, of course, runs with the memes. So. Okay, shop. Shop actually looks sick. So running off of this top trend, check it out. So even using these top resistance lines here, it does appear that shop has broken, and it made this nice little channel here as well. So nice little channel trading here for shop. Go down to the hour or the daily here, and you can see that the most reasonable target is 1560. 1560 break, and Shopify should see some decent continuation to the upside. I would take it at the HMA break at 1535 with volume. Of course, you want to see volume comparable. For the wick fill, the wick fill is going to take you to 1588. At a break of 1588, that's where that secondary price target would likely, or that my first price target is 1560, but that last wick fill would have you at 1580. I think it's, can't do it on the daily. Looks like 1588 or 1589 would likely be that mark, leading you into the $1,600 mark. So. Looks like you have decent volume here as well. There's shop. BA. I don't even want to chart BA. So garbage. Wow, that is eerie, but true. Okay, so anytime I see weird consolidation like this or a well-respected trend, that I'm expecting for that to be a respected trend line in the future. That's exactly what we saw here today, bouncing, holding that trend line, and recovering back up to that 20-day moving average. This is a major level that BA broke. I don't expect for it to just move down parabolically or anything like that, but we do have a break in a smaller time frame downtrend. So I think at the most we may get 230 out of Boeing, but I'm not really a fan of the setup at all. I think 225 is a reasonable target if we have volume in that sector. Otherwise, I'm hands off on Boeing at the moment, unless it's to the downside where the majority of its trend lies at the moment. So, okay, so 10/18/26, first target 220.50, second target 222.65. What is going on here? Do you think Wall Street bets should be investigated by SEC for offering to trade people's money? Probably. That's weird. You shouldn't do that. Okay, well, that is about it as far as your guys' request. I will have obviously an updated chart for tomorrow. Let you guys know what I'm in, but I'm going to go ahead and call it a night. I feel boring. I know I'm just ranting right now. I'm really, really tired. So I'm going to go ahead and crash. I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Of course, I'll tag you guys when we're ready to go. Make sure you guys follow us on our Twitter, or all of us admins have Twitters as well. You can DM us in the Discord for that. But my Twitter is PotterStock, so you guys can find me there, as well as on our TikTok if you guys want to laugh or anything. But those of you on the YouTube. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful evening. Thank you guys for stopping by. I appreciate it as always. Those of you in the Discord, I will see you guys bright and early, and we'll get it propping, and hopefully have another good day in the market. All right. Peace out, Discord. All right. All right, guys. Have a good night. Thank you.